Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is, I don't know what to say, really. This next gentleman is a guy, well, he's my best friend, and I am one of his best friends. but you know, people are, so I know him, I'm used to him, but thank you, by the way, Marty, for mentioning me in so many interviews. You know, Paul and I go back. When people hear that, they say, you actually know Martin Short? I say, of course. Well, what's he like? They can't believe it. You're such an original character.
Yes.
It's time to introduce you. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is Martin Short. I can't believe it. Just sing a little of this.
Over and over, I keep going over the world we knew.
Now, that's what I mean. Marty, you sound great. Warmed up or not?
No, you got to warm up.
What is your, you take singing seriously?
See, I remember doing a Broadway show, and by the way, we can hold for applause.
Well, we are. Spiritually, we're applauded.
Thank you. The Goodbye Girl, 92, 93.
Oh, do I ever remember that?
And Burnett Peters. And so I remember that when I first started, like, out of town, I would go, why am I so much better in Act 2? Oh, that's right. I'm warmed up by then. So I then realized you do the hour warm-up before.
So you do.
And then you're ready.
We both come from Canada.
Yes, sir.
We met in 1972.
We met in 72 on March 25th.
Okay.
1972 at the Godspell callbacks at the Masonic Temple in Toronto.
So, you know, both of us tell this story into the ground. It's legendary now. Well, I've made it a legend myself just because I love to tell it. But,
yeah.
But we had this company we met back in 72, and it was everybody's first experience with showbiz. Certainly my first professional experience, except for playing in rock band. Had you ever done anything professionally before this Godspell?
No. I was still in university, McMaster University.
So you went to McMaster, which is in Hamilton, Ontario.
That is correct,
This is an industrial city just outside of Toronto.
It's kind of like Pittsburgh of Canada. A steel town.
I see, yeah. It's a steel. And your father, I understand, was an executive at the steel business there. But this is interesting because your mother was a concert violinist.
That's right. She was a child prodigy. She won awards and medals at the Canadian National Exhibition competition when she was 5 and things like that, Kiwanis. But she became the first female concert master, and of course they used to call it concert mistress then.
Yes.
Now they probably call it concert person.
Well, you have to, yeah.
You've got to be.
Anyway, your mother was a concert person.
Yes, she was.
Was a violin person.
She was the concert mistress of the Hamilton Philharmonic for 13 years.
So this was, and you would hear her practicing at home,
I grew up, when I heard the idea of going to rehearsal, it was the symphony. She would practice during the season 5 hours a day.
Yes, exactly. And so you would hear.
And one time she would play for us. She'd get all the kids assembled. One time I was about 10, and she was playing. And when she finished, I said, why does your arm jiggle like that? Oh. Should that be doing that?
Yeah, well, I
said the wrong thing.
Yeah, you don't need to say that. What was it that attracted you to the Sinatras and the Judy Garlands? You know,
I would say it was.
I would say, oh yeah, that's what I think is music, and you're, you know, somewhere. Give you an idea. What is it that brought you to a Judy Garland instead of, you know, to the Beatles and the Stones?
Well, I mean, Garland, Sinatra, Tony, Sammy. These are the people. Now, it was true that we had one television. Yeah. Initially, you know, like all families.
So the whole family has to watch the same
family,
thing.
So, like, for example, my father and mother loved Judy Garland. So if she was on TV, we had to watch it, and then she was fantastic.
Right.
Sinatra was kind of my thing, again, learning from singing.
Yes.
The Rat Pack, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
Of course, we all did, yeah.
And so I was Tony Bennett I thought was like a machine. And again, he was like a teacher to me, understanding. Garland was an amazing performer. And that's what I was drawn toward. Like, how can you just make an entire audience stand up and scream like that?
But you're a 12-year-old boy in Hamilton, Ontario, saying how does
15.
How does a performer like Judy Garland control an audience like that? I mean, kids aren't like that.
Well, kids haven't made my money.
Well,
But I would say that, for example, I remember seeing Sinatra at Cobo Hall in Detroit.
yeah, dude, parents,
running down.
How did that happen? Your parents take you there just to
I
see
went
him?
with my sister Nora.
Just to see
she was at
Sinatra.
the University of Michigan. Yeah.
I see.
And
Okay.
I remember running down, I was 17, shook hands with him at the lip of the stage, and thought that he looked at me, and I thought that he saw something in me and transferred energy. He was just saying, what an unusual looking child. Is that the kid from Deliverance?
He thought you a kid from Deliverance came.
He said, I didn't know that kid actually got out. I thought he was just in the Ozarks playing the banjo.
I think you got it that night
I did.
from him.
That's
And then,
not all I got from him.
now you bring up an interesting point that I've learned because I have studied you. There was a period of time though where you were just starting to develop and wondering what direction should I go in, and you thought at that time you were going to be more of a singer, especially when that variety show came to town hosted by Norm Crosby, called Everything Goes. Norm Crosby, the malaprop comic,
Yes.
used to go to Toronto and
I think you have to do a little more explaining.
and say, well, this malaprop comic would go to Toronto and do like a series of 12 shows and get them all done within a period of 2 weeks. And it gave all of us Canadian, Toronto local performers.
No, actually, you're incorrect. on
Okay,
that.
go ahead.
The show was live.
It
so he
was?
wasn't getting them done. Yes. Everything
Okay.
Goes was live
My goodness.
on Global Television, a new network that launched that year.
Now I remember. Anyway, I said this one week, why don't you do a beautiful ballad? People don't know that you got that in you. And
Yes.
there's a one out now by Stevie Wonder, You and I, and
Yes.
you would sing it beautifully, and it'll be different than anything else on the show. And you went for it, and I did the arrangement.
You did
for
the arrangement,
yes.
absolutely.
And you called me from the rehearsal.
That was the thing
day.
about the show. You had to pay for your own arrangements.
Yes, yeah.
They would cost about $400, and you'd get paid $220.
Yeah.
So you're already in the hole by appearing, and Everything Goes.
But I only took the $220 from you. I didn't charge you any more than that. I just took all your money and was happy.
No, rehearsal time you charge too.
Well,
But
that's
like,
$20 an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Why quibble?
Yeah.
But when you called me and you said, "Oh my goodness, I'm following Tony Bennett on the show and I'm doing a ballad," I thought maybe I gave him the wrong.
Well, no,
wrong
you were
advice.
in the audience, by the way,
I sure was.
with Gilda.
Yes, we were there together. We sneaked in and we were sitting like down on steps.
That's right.
Watching you, and you were going to do it live with a big band, my arrangement.
And but Tony Bennett was on the show. I wasn't supposed to follow Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett was supposed to open the show,
I see.
and I was, it was a 90-minute live show, and I was in the last 10 minutes. But Tony's plane was late,
Yeah.
so they kept delaying it, and finally he got there around 20 minutes before the end of the show. And, he just walked in, and I was in the green room, and there was Tony. I love to sing. So great to be here.
Now, when
I
we-
love Toronto. And they kept saying, wait till you're on stage, Tony.
Yes, exactly. But when he went on, what did he do that night? Do you happen to remember?
Oh, he killed.
I'd love to hear you do a little Tony, just to set up a little bit of what Tony Bennett was like, and then we'll go.
We came close to it all. We caught the rainbows we chased. Then we watched the sky fall. All that love went to waste.
That's gorgeous.
And he killed. He sang,
course.
when Joanna left me. And people were going crazy, or New York, what a town, or whatever he was singing. He
Oh,
sang.
and he was in
And
gorgeous
then
voice.
the audience went crazy, and then during his song, I'm watching in the green, and they said, you're next. And I said, no, you can't
Yeah.
follow a singer with a singer. And they said, watch. And
Watch
so
me.
they set up my stool. As Tony's killing upstage, they put my stool downstage. And,
Singer to singer.
yeah.
Ballad to ballad.
And he kills, and then they cut to Norm Crosby. Thanks, Tony. Now here's a kid who really sings good Marty Short.
Oh, boy.
And I started singing You and I, as you had recommended. And I went here. Oh, I said, first of all, I said, what a spot following Tony Bennett. Nothing, no reaction from the audience. And then I started my song. Here we are.
Good.
On earth together, it's you and me, which was already wrong. The song was You and I.
You and I, and you
And
sing
when I
it.
said You and me,
Oh, boy.
I forgot every lyric because there were no cue cards when we were live.
Right.
Not only did I forget every lyric and started making up lyrics, but I started subconsciously impersonating Tony Bennett.
No, you.
Yeah.
So,
Our love was made in heaven too. I certainly like to eat stew.
and you went into Tony Bennett.
Yeah, you and me, you and me, you and me. It was horrible.
Oh, my.
And then afterwards, I just felt so sad, and I went to the bathroom. I was throwing cold water in my face. And then Tony came in.
Yeah.
And I was expecting, oh, good, a pearl of wisdom from Tony. And he looked at me and said, "You froze good, kid. Well, good night." And off he went.
You froze good, kid.
You froze good, kid.